Picture this. You're sitting in your car outside your wife's church on a quiet Sunday evening. She told you she'd be at evening service, so you decided to surprise her with her favorite coffee. But as you scan the nearly empty parking lot, something doesn't add up. Her car isn't there. The church is dark. And when you text, "I'm outside waiting for you," her response freezes your blood. 3 dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. What would you do if everything you believed about your marriage crumbled in a single text message? Before we dive into this story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. My name is Mike, and I'm about to tell you how my 15-year marriage ended with a single text message in an empty church parking lot. My wife Sarah and I had what everyone called the perfect marriage. 2 kids, a nice house, the kind of relationship our friends envied. Sarah was deeply religious, never missing church on Sundays. She had this routine that I respected completely. Sunday morning, she'd take the kids to the main service. Sunday evenings, she'd go alone for what she called quiet reflection time. I wasn't particularly religious myself, so I used those hours to catch up on work or household projects. It was our unspoken agreement, our perfect balance. On this particular Sunday evening in October, I finished my tasks early. I thought about Sarah, probably sitting alone in those uncomfortable wooden pews, and felt this sudden wave of affection for my wife. Why not surprise her with her favorite caramel macchiato from the coffee shop near the church? I grabbed my keys, drove the familiar route, and pulled into the church parking lot at exactly 7:30, the time Sarah's evening service would be ending. The lot was completely empty. My first thought was logical. Maybe the service ran late. Maybe they moved to a different building. I walked to the main entrance and found it locked. I peered through the windows into complete darkness. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I called the church office and got the answering machine. The recorded message confirmed that Sunday evening services ended at 7:15. I checked my phone. No missed calls from Sarah. No texts explaining a change of plans. That's when I decided to text her, "Hey honey, I'm out here waiting for you with your favorite coffee." Her response was immediate. "Out where?" I stared at my phone, confused. Then I typed, "The church parking lot. Where else?" This time I watched those 3 dots appear and disappear multiple times. When Sarah finally responded, her message made my hands shake. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. Service went really late tonight. I'm just now leaving. Give me 20 minutes. But I had just confirmed with the church office that services ended 45 minutes ago. I sat in that empty parking lot, coffee growing cold as 15 years of trust began to unravel thread by thread. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a detective in my own marriage. I started paying attention to details I'd previously ignored. Sarah's Sunday evening absences weren't just recent. When I really thought about it, they'd been happening for 8 months. I drove by the church the following Sunday evening, empty again. And the Sunday after that. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe she was attending a different church. Maybe she was volunteering somewhere and felt embarrassed about lying. Maybe she was planning a surprise for me and needed cover time. But the evidence kept pointing in a direction I didn't want to face. I noticed other changes I'd somehow missed before. Sarah had started dressing differently for these Sunday evening services. More makeup, better clothes. She'd bought new perfume. When she came home, she seemed energized in a way quiet church services had never made her before. The breaking point came when I decided to follow her. That Sunday, I told Sarah I was going to my brother's house to watch the game. Instead, I parked down the street from our house and waited. At 6:30, Sarah left in her car, dressed beautifully, carrying a small overnight bag she'd never mentioned. I followed at a distance, my heart pounding harder than it had in years. She didn't drive toward any church. She drove straight to the Riverside Hotel downtown. She parked, walked into the lobby like she'd done it 100 times before, and disappeared inside. I sat in that hotel parking lot for 2 hours, watching other cars come and go, my marriage disintegrating in my mind with each passing minute. At 8:45, Sarah emerged from the hotel entrance. She wasn't alone. Walking beside her was Mark Stevens. I recognized him immediately. Mark was our neighbor's brother, a divorced contractor who'd done work on several houses in our neighborhood. He'd been to our backyard barbecues. He'd shaken my hand and complimented Sarah's potato salad multiple times. I watched them embrace in the parking lot. This wasn't a friendly goodbye hug. This was something deeper, more intimate, the kind of embrace that spoke of familiarity and genuine affection. My stomach dropped as I realized I was watching my wife with another man. And it was clear this had been going on for a long time. When Sarah arrived home that night at 9:30, she found me sitting in our living room still wearing my jacket. "How was church?" I asked quietly. "Beautiful service tonight," Sarah replied, not meeting my eyes. "Pastor Williams spoke about forgiveness." "Interesting topic," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "What's forgiveness worth when it's built on lies?" Sarah froze in the doorway, her purse still in her hand. "What do you mean?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo I'd taken in the hotel parking lot. Sarah and Mark, embracing under the streetlights. Her face turned up to his like she was waiting for a kiss. The silence that followed was deafening. What happened next surprised me more than the betrayal itself. Sarah didn't deny it. She didn't make excuses. She sat down across from me and began to cry. "I never meant for this to happen," she said through her tears. "It started as friendship. Mark was going through his divorce and I was counseling him. We met for coffee after church, sometimes just to talk. I listened as my wife of 15 years explained how friendship had turned to emotional intimacy, then to something more. How the Sunday evening meetings had been going on for 8 months. How she'd fallen in love with someone else but couldn't bring herself to hurt me or break up our family. "I kept thinking I could end it," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "I kept telling myself it was just temporary, that I'd come to my senses. But every week, I looked forward to those few hours more than anything else in my life. I felt something break inside my chest. Not just anger or betrayal, but a profound sadness for the marriage we'd both failed without realizing it." "Were you ever going to tell me?" I asked. Sarah looked at me with tears streaming down her face. "I don't know. I honestly don't know. My story doesn't have a Hollywood ending. Sarah and I tried counseling for 3 months, but the damage went deeper than infidelity. We'd grown apart gradually over years, and the betrayal was just the symptom of a marriage that had been dying slowly without either of us acknowledging it. We divorced quietly the following spring. Sarah moved to a different city with Mark. I got custody of the kids during the week. We learned to co-parent with civility, if not warmth. It took time, but we managed to put our children's needs first. Here's what I learned from that night in the church parking lot. Sometimes the truth finds you when you're not looking for it. Sometimes the lies we tell ourselves are more dangerous than the lies others tell us. And sometimes the worst betrayals are the ones that reveal truths we've been avoiding for years. I never remarried, but I learned to be honest with myself about what I wanted from relationships. I learned that love without truth isn't really love at all. That marriage requires more than just going through the motions. It requires presence, attention, and the courage to face problems before they become insurmountable. That's the power of a single moment. One text message, one empty parking lot, one decision to pay attention to what you've been ignoring. My entire life changed because I decided to surprise my wife with coffee and ended up discovering she'd been living a double life for 8 months. What would you have done in my position? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, subscribe to our channel for more tales of human nature, relationships, and the moments that change everything. Sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that could happen to anyone. Until next time, pay attention to the empty parking lots in your own life. They might be trying to tell you something important.